My name is Anne Clarke. My grandfather is Steve Sadowski, prisoner of war number 629. A new camp was established at Amherst at the Malleable Iron Works, located at the corner of Park and Hickman Streets in Amherst, Nova Scotia, at what is now Casey Concrete Incorporated. It was in operation from April 17, 1915 to September 27, 1919. The Cumberland County Museum and Archives boast many artifacts made by the internees. And Amherst housed those considered second-class prisoners of war. When the Citadel camp closed on October 3, 1918, its prisoners were transferred to Amherst. At one point towards the end of the war, the Amherst camp held 854 internees and was the largest internment camp in Canada. It also held a very famous prisoner, Leon Trotsky, the Russian revolutionary leader of the Red Army. He was on a ship heading from New York to Europe, and the vessel ended up in Halifax. Trotsky and several other people were taken off the boat and imprisoned there. This is a picture of my dad's family. It was taken when he was 10, which would have been 1937. And then a number of years ago, they decided to recreate that same photo, pretty much the same positions, same people. Grandpa and Grandma, my dad, all the siblings. My brother had looked this up and he found my grandfather's name recorded as Steve Sadowski, spelled phonetically, and that his prisoner of war number was 629. We hadn't known that before. My mother actually was able to get him talking and telling some stories. And she had known the story of him being arrested when he was at work one day. And men from the government had come and told him to gather up his belongings. He was being taken to a camp. He worked in the kitchen, so he thought he was maybe a little bit luckier than some of the others, that he had a warm job. My brother sent me an article in the spring of 2014 explaining that there was going to be a plaque unveiling to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the internment camps. I was quite interested in it, so I looked it up online, and then I found out there was going to be one in Nanaimo, so I sent a couple of emails to ask if somehow maybe I could be involved with it. I got an email back saying that most certainly I could be involved, and asked if I could do a little speech and maybe explain my grandfather's story at the unveiling. I wasn't expecting it to be that emotional. My grandfather passed away a number of years ago, and I think a lot of the history went with him. And I'm very touched that it's being re-interviewed and readdressed. I don't know that it's documented who did the arrest or the detention, but it's likely it was the Northwest Mounted Police. 2 generations later, I joined the RCMP, and my last posting was in border integrity. Part of our duties were protecting the borders, the West Coast specifically of Canada. It's interesting that my grandfather was treated without trust and that I held a very high security clearance and investigated migrants who were attempting to enter the country illegally. It's a story that he never broached himself. It wasn't a story he was proud to tell. And I think it's important that we retell those stories because I think they're getting lost. It certainly isn't a piece of history that I ever learned in school. And I don't know if it's being taught now, but I'm doubtful that it would be. I think it's a very important piece of Canadian history that needs to be documented and passed on.